I'd like to tell you that rejection is not an option. Why? Because rejection is the norm. So please don't get disheartened when you get rejections in your in the initial steps. It will come in different forms and shapes, but this will only like prepare us for that place, for our place in the sun, kumbaga. So my initial pursuit was during my PhD, my mentor and I were working on a paper and it got accepted. And so I was able to attend a conference, the ICC conference of APSI. It was then held in Guangzhou, China, and the keynote speaker was this PI that I am with now. And when I heard her talk, I have like something it struck a chord with me, and I like told myself I'll be one day collaborating with this celebrity. So 2 years in the making, I was like studying what she was doing, trying to align my skills, publish when I can, because you know the dilemma that we have in the academe in our country. We have like 50% of our time for teaching and another 50% for admin or service. Because most especially when we finish our degrees, we are put in admin posts. We cannot do research as much as we want anymore. But that's not true that's not what is happening for all settings, but majority, I believe, are in that dilemma. So my preparation is not a full-time preparation. And I submitted my first application packet, and then there was funding. I did not get the dreaded rejection, but then there was some setback in processing. So they had to relaunch the call again, and so I applied again. And then on early of 2019, my advisor and I worked on a paper again, and then it got accepted in LAC, in a workshop in LAC. And it happened to be that LAC was in Arizona State University. So, and the paper was accepted, and my advisor, Dr. Edith, gave me the means to be able to attend that conference and present our paper in the US, in ASU. And would you know that in one of the conference lunches, so it's really good to go out there and attend social gatherings, not just be a nerd, not be intimidated with other cultures. Because during that lunch gathering, Ryan Baker was there, so he was in my thesis committee, so he said hi and sat beside me. Then the PI also sat beside me. And so I was able to tell her that I applied and did this and was very much interested in such and such work. And so she said, oh, we're launching the call. And so she'll watch out for my application packet. And so I had to go through interviews. So it was not in a snap of a finger. That was around March, and I was able to start my postdoc on the same year in October. So that's the initial pursuit. And so some technicalities, I am here in J1 visa. There's a category for research scholars, and it's an annual renewable up to 5 years. After your J1, you will have to go back home to your country of origin, and because it's like an exchange visitor program. You can, however, apply for a waiver, and that's almost always the route that people are taking, but I'm not thinking of that far in the future yet. One blessing that I feel, and that was really a come on for this pursuit, was that being in a J1 visa, will allow you to have J2 visa dependents. You can either bring your spouse, bring your spouse and your dependent, children under 21 years old. And so one one blessing was for me to be able to bring my son. He's also in his J2 visa. J2 visa holders are able to study here. And so I was able to send him to a deaf school, and he was able to graduate with honors. And his story is another story for another day. So, warming up. Because I was so ambitious to go in a lab and to be under a PI with such magnitude of work, with such H index, with such number of publications, there's a lot of catching up to do. You have to be a content expert on the work of the lab, the publications that they do, the collaborations that they have, and you have to do it in the shortest time as possible, because you still have to learn new grants, contribute to new grants, and acquire new skills. So the warming up is really challenging. One of the warm ups that I really appreciated was learning R. I know that we are using Python and prefer it, but I'd like to just share it to everyone, #share ko lang, that non-computing students, non-IT students here are extremely well-versed in R, and they're even doing it for like machine learning, data wrangling, and things that are supposedly our forte. So if they're doing that, that's a competency that's expected that we have, and at a more advanced level. And also, the research that you will be doing, most especially in this applied fields, Soleil Lab is under the Department of Psychology. So Learning Sciences, Cognitive Psychology Lab, but they're doing computational linguistics. So as with AI Ed, EDM, and the LAC, it's not our intent when we do research is not, it's still with methods like emerging approaches, new language models, but it's more of, the bottom line would be not really performance metrics of our algorithms or our methods, but face validity, content validity, theoretical anchors, and contributions to education, to the learning sciences. So that's a shift of focus to the work that we are doing. So I also have these readings on the new perspective that we should take on when we join these kinds of labs with this forte. Now, labor pains, most pressure comes from yourself. You'll be working with celebrities. There's some culture shock. There's some culture shock would be, we are professors in the classroom. There's this different expression of respect that we will be used to, and it's different here. So just don't be so overly sensitive. Also, another labor pain, most especially for women, I'm not like downplaying the struggles that men play, the roles that men play in the household, but most especially for women, we are mothers, we multitask, we are daughters, we are sisters. Life happens, so it's part of the labor pains. And that's the feeling that I really have, to be honest. This is more of a lesson in humility for me, because I thought of myself as an expert. I don't have the expertise yet, but I have a specialization. But when I came here, that tiny bit of confidence like flew out the window, gone out the door, and I feel that I'm the most stupid person in the room. But they say that if you already feel that you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. No? So you have your imposter syndrome. I also have recommend a good reading for overcoming imposter syndrome in labs and in the culture of academics. So I have some small achievements in these 2 years that I was here, but I'll be running out of time if I talk about all of them. I'll just talk about the most recent one, which is a publication on the title of the publication is linguistic features of discourse within. That's my 25-minute alarm, so I'll be quick, just a few more. It's a linguistic features of discourse within an algebra online discussion board. So the methods that we did for this, we did the mixed effects model, fixed effects, random effects, the interactions of these variables, and then we did computational linguistics. Our computational linguistics in this lab go beyond measures, beyond surface level or word level measures. Then we also did corpus analysis and data wrangling. We also did of course, making sure that machine learning algorithm assumptions are satisfied, normality checks, linearity, univariate and multivariate linearity, addressing multicollinearity and other regression modeling assumptions for this paper. Then we did model selection because we generated a couple of models and did post hoc analysis. Then, of course, theoretical grounding for the findings. And the goal of this paper was to examine the extent to which the linguistic features of a discourse in an algebra online forum will predict the performance of students. And we found that language features did really predict and of course performance. So we confirmed findings from prior studies that students' math scores and performance in general can be significantly predicted by the language they use, in particular hypernymy, the pronoun incidence, lower semantic overlap between sentences. If you're interested, this paper can look up this paper in the proceedings of EDM. And then students with stronger course outcomes used more sophisticated language across a wider range of algebra topics and also use less personalized language. So to end, I'd like to inspire everyone that don't be like sniff and scurry and be like, or maybe hem, be like Ho, conquer your fear of failures, overcome your inhibitions, and may we all find our cheese. Thank you very much.
Well, congratulations and thank you very much, Dr. Michelle. Thank you very much. Can we give her a round of applause, please? What an inspiring story. You know, I was with Ma'am Michelle maybe 12 years ago, right? That was 12 years ago. For 3 weeks in Japan, you have really come a long way. I'm personally super, super proud of you. You're such an inspiration. Sige, let's give her a round of applause. Can we focus both Dr. Michelle and me for the Q&A? So do we have questions from the audience? At a loss ako for words, no?
Thanks, Ma'am Sherry.
Yeah, we have...
you were always an inspiration, Ma'am Sherry. Kaya walang dalawang salita. If it's you, give the invite. Go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ana. all the way from the US. Thank you very much for, you're such an inspiration. So we have a lot of, I think we have a lot of participants here. And maybe, this can be your goal, right? This can be your goal in life, and finish your PhD, learn from everything that Ma'am Michelle said, on how to go about it. Who knows, one day we will invite you as speaker to share your journey the same as Ma'am Michelle. So super proud of you. Anyway, so do we have questions from the audience? Okay, so let's just read some of the comments here. So we have, thank you so much, Doc Michelle. Such an inspiring story. Yeah, and you will also find our cheese. Yeah, go, Mami Det. Let's find our cheese. And so we have a lot of, congrats, Ma'am Michelle. Admire your strength and perseverance. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Michelle. No? So thank you really very, very much. Kumusta daw? Sir Randy is here. Doc Maui was from Davao. Doc Banawan is also from Davao. So I think the next speaker is from Mindanao, right? So we have a very excellent group of women in Mindanao, and hopefully Visayas too, right? So next time we will invite the people from Luzon. Okay, so we have here a question. Okay, so what is your advice, ma'am, to a newbie or starting to write their papers or research?
Advice to a newbie.
Starting to write their paper or their research.
I am really like, kahit ngayon, I still think of myself a newbie because research is always a pursuit of something new. There's always, when you write something, you transform, you become a newbie. And so my advice lang is that just don't be afraid to put your thoughts out there, validate, get theoretical grounding, look at what the state of the art is. Syempre, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, so we always want something that we'll write about to be comparable to, if not beat, the state of the art. So that's always our goal, and always look at the greater scheme of things by the contribution that we have, that what we are writing about will give to the body of knowledge. So those are our goals when we write papers.
Yeah, very, very nice. Very nice answer. Yeah. So maybe the thing is, masters and doctoral students, sometimes they just focus on, finishing the degree. So I think, right, maybe you really have to ask yourself questions like why, because first and foremost, you have to be interested in it. At the same time, you have to know your reasons why you're pursuing that. So siguro part of you enjoying the journey at the same time, instead of being, so caught up in, because of the pressure kasi the up or out policy in a lot of universities gives us that pressure. But maybe you have to sit down and, very nice yung suggestion ni ma'am. So we have another question here. Did you experience pressure at the time when you are with your, favorite personalities and celebrities? Parang it's like, what do you call that moment that you experience?
Yeah, the pressure is always there, and I think it helps because you're always on your toes. Now you will not be complacent. Just use that pressure to drive you, to push you. Pero mental wellness is still top of the list, no? So pressure is always there. The intimidation is always there, but we just use it as a drive to be able to contribute.
Jerry, may I ask a question?
Yeah. I wanted to, excuse me, Ma'am Didit, from the celebrity mentor, Ma'am Didit Rodrigo.
No, I just wanted I wanted to say thank you so much, Michelle. And I was really, I'm incredibly proud of everything you've been able to accomplish. And I'm grateful to you to have been included in your journey. And you are still one of my favorite people. But I think Okay, I do have a question, and the context of the question is really having known a little about what you had to go through, especially after you completed your degree. I think this is a problem that many of us confront as academics. We complete our degrees and we're immediately given admin positions. Necessarily so. I don't. I do always think that we have to give back to our universities, and this form of service is a way of giving back. But can you give us advice, and maybe this is advice that can be directed also to the universities, about how to help our faculty, our young researchers, balance this need to give back to the university, but at the same time develop and maintain some kind of research practice, so that we can also push forward and make progress in that field?
Yes, look, Didith, it's really a dilemma. And in fact, yes, you are right that we really need to give back, and our universities need our credentials, need our service and expertise when we complete our degrees. But one way to maybe cushion this unavoidable circumstance is that maybe universities would like really allot and institutionalize measures to incentivize research even for those in admin posts. Incentivize not really just like for like financially, but maybe just like some reduced admin hours. So some mechanisms can be put in place, and also for some university, for especially in Mindanao, research labs are very limited, or it's like just it's a dream. And it would be nice if universities would also put in place this structure such that even if the academics, the teachers will take on admin posts, but there are labs or this instituted or put in place, they have like a few hours in a day or a day in a week to go to and take off their admin hats and just to research. Anyway, research will inform formation. Of course, research will inform instruction. So it's really a win-win for university, for management to put this in place.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ma'am Lee.
Thank you, Ma'am Didit. So we have a comment here from the chat box. Thank you, Dr. Banawan, for such an inspiring talk. Thank you for mentioning the imposter syndrome. It seems to be more common than we would like to admit it to be. So this is from Maan and Clarino. She experienced it also in her PhD journey. We have another question in the chat box. Okay, so focus is the key. So they say, what are your tips to focus in writing paper and accomplishing tasks? What are the risks that you have encountered?
Focus would mean the discipline to write a paragraph a day, even if you don't feel like it. Don't edit yourself yet. Don't be your reviewer. A best paper is a complete paper. That's what somebody wise told me a couple of times already in my journey. So just finish what you can. Just push on a paper a day, one reading, one related work a day. When you feel like it, or if you don't feel like it, most especially. And the risks that we encounter would be to go down the rabbit hole and like, is this enough? Should I pursue some more? Make it more complex? Just finish it. Keep it simple.
Yeah, very practical advices. I hope that we have a lot of students here. I'm sure that they are doing their thesis. So write a paragraph a day. Very, very nice advice. Read a paper a day. Okay, I think those are very, very practical advices. I'm so happy to hear that from you. Very practical advices. Okay, any more? Any more questions? Okay, I think there are no more questions. Thank you, super, 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 super. It's nice to see you now, all the way from the United States now. It's almost 11 o'clock there. Thank you for staying with us today. And anyway, it's Saturday tomorrow, so you can rest tomorrow. Maybe you can stay until the end of the program if you still have the power to do it. Thank you very much. We miss you in the Philippines. I hope you will come back. So to officially say thank you, may we flash the certificate, okay? So, certification is awarded to Dr. Michelle Banawan for such an inspiring sharing of her journey as a speaker during the ACM WIC-PH Women in Computing PH celebration held today, October 9, signed by yours truly and Dr. Rachel Edita Orojas. Thank you very much. Let's give her again a round of applause, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, Michelle. Take care.
Bigyan salamat.
Okay, let's go back to Ms. Lea Barbaso for the next speaker.
What we heard from Dr. Michelle Banawan is actually very informative, right? Rejection is not an option, right, ma'am? And doing postdoctoral study is such a hard work. As we say, many are called, but few are chosen. And you are one of those few people who answered the call to pursue postdoctoral studies, and in the US pa. Thank you once again, ma'am, despite the time difference, for sharing those information to everyone virtually present here this afternoon. So let's move on to the next part of our program. The CSP SIG Women in Computing calls for the submission of paper in relation to the celebration theme and sub-themes of increasing diversity in computing courses and careers, encouraging students to consider computing in their future, retention of girls and women in computing courses and careers, and initiatives that explore the contribution of computing to society, computing for social impact, creativity, and education. Let us now listen to our first paper presentation this afternoon. The proponents are Hasmin Tulin, Cheryl Pantaleon, and Erica Jean Abadinas with their paper entitled Profile of the BSCS and BSIT first-year students of CIT University and the factors that influence them to enroll in computing degrees.
Good day, everyone. The education sector is one of the areas that has been hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Cebu Institute of Technology and University is not exempted to that. Last school year, instead of the expected increase due to the continuing implementation of the senior high school program, the enrollment data decreased overall. This school year, 2021-2022, however, showed a remarkable increase of 38% in CIT enrollment overall, the highest increase from the College of Computer Studies with a 67% overall increase. That led us to this study. Profile of the BSCS and BSIT first-year students of Cebu Institute of Technology University and the factors that influence them to enroll in computing degrees, with my co-authors, Cheryl B. Pantaleon, Erica Jean S. Abadinas, and yours truly, Hasmin A. Tulin. The following is the outline for this presentation. We'll have objective of the study, methodology, results, and conclusion. Our objective of the study is to determine the profile of the first-year students of the College of Computer Studies. Second, to determine the factors that influence their decision to enroll in Bachelor of Science in Information Technology and Bachelor of Science in Computer Science in Cebu Institute of Technology University. Our research question, we want to know, what is the profile of the first-year students of the College of Computer Studies? Second, what are the factors that influence their decision to enroll in BSCS and BSIT in Cebu Institute of Technology University? Methodology. Data were gathered from the survey. The respondents were the first-year students in the College of Computer Studies enrolled in the computing degrees Bachelor of Science in Information Technology and Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. We had complete enumeration for this study. After getting all the data was cleaned using R. After pre-processing the data gathered, 6 attributes were identified. These are ID number, which is the student ID number, course, the program taken by the student, school type, type of senior high school, gender, the gender of the student, strand in senior high school, and influence, which is the influence in choosing BSCS or BSIT. The following are the results of our study. As to the profile of the CCS students, based on the data gathered from the 395 respondents, 60% took up BSIT, while 40% enrolled in BSCS program. 73% of the first-year students were male, while 27% were female. This is the distribution of the male and female in each degree. 78% of the students were previously from private senior high school and 22% from the public senior high school. This graph shows the majority of the students enrolled were from in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics strand in their senior high school. The other strands were technology, vocational, and livelihood, or TVL, with 18%. This TVL is composed of those students who are enrolled in programming, animation, computer system servicing, and pre-maritime. Accountancy, business and management, 6%, general academic, 3%, humanities and social sciences, 2%, and we have 2% none. These are the students who are enrolled in the old curriculum. As a summary on the profile of the first-year CCS students, most of our first-year students' course is BSIT. It is shown in the graph that in each course, great percentage of male than female. Most of our students are from the public schools, and majority of the academic strand of our first-year students is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in their senior high school. Now let's proceed on the factors influenced to enroll in BSCS or BSIT. The following are the listed factors. First is the desired course of study is BSIT or BSCS. Second, a good graduate employment rate for each of the computing degree. Third, they are influenced by their family members, like their parents, their sisters, or their brothers, or their relatives to take the course. Next, they are interested in computer. They know that they have good job opportunities after graduation in their enrolled computing degree. Salary level in the computing degree chosen is higher. And lastly, the scholarship grant. As the result on the factors influenced to enroll in BSIT and BSCS, the following are the results. Most responded interest in computer with 325. Then, job opportunities with 280 responses. Salary level and influence by family members, which are close to each other, were fourth and fifth choices, and the other influences were graduate employment rate, scholarship granted, and one answered that he or she didn't really know. Now let's determine as to the factors influenced to enroll in BSIT or BSCS per gender. Based on the graph, both the male and female have the same top 3 reasons. job opportunities, interest in computer, and desired course of study. Except, most of the males choose interest in computer, while the female choose job opportunities as their top options respectively. As a conclusion, the study's findings on the profile of the first-year CCS college students and the factors influencing them to enroll in the degree program can be used in the school's campaign and promotion to encourage not only male students but also female students to computer programs such as BSCS and BSIT. Furthermore, it can be served as the foundation for policy development of Cebu Institute of Technology College of Computer Studies. These are the references for this study. Once again, thank you, good day, and thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jasmine, for presenting that, no? Can you, okay. So let's go to the Q&A, no? I do not want to ask questions because I might have to answer the questions, right? Because this is a CIT study. But anyway, this is also the first time that I was able to listen to the result of that. But we have a question here from our chat box, and if the others have questions too, no? So is there any intervention and or foundation preparation for those students with non-related strands who decided to take CS and IT degree programs? Do you want to answer that, Hasmin? Do we have special preparation for the I think the question is for the non-STEM strand.
For the
Can we focus
BSCS,
for both. Yeah. Maybe
both.
you can answer for the IT and the computer science at the same time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For as I know, for the BSCS, it's requirement that you will have on the STEM strand. But if, for example, you are not on the STEM strand during your senior high school, you are to take several courses before you can take the other courses required for the BSCS. But with regards to the BSIT, we accept whatever your strand in your senior high school.
Yeah, okay. So just to add to that, so if you're not from a STEM strand, we require you to take pre-calculus for STEM as an overload course in your first semester, because we have calculus for computer science. But for BSIT, we accept whatever strand. I do not know what the other schools are doing here in the Philippines because I was actually trying to do a little bit of soul searching in that particular presentation, because I thought we were promoting computer science, as a very high salary. That was the promotion strategy. You go to computing, you get a high salary. But it turned out that is not the most important consideration. So they take up computing because originally they are already interested in computer in the first place. And it's actually sad for me, because we do not really have computing in the elementary level and even in senior high school. There's no computing in STEM. So maybe there's a missing gap there. Because how do you get students interested if in the first place they are not exposed, right? So I think that for me, that's the realization. Because the only way that we can promote IT and computer science is by saying that the salary is really high. The salary is really high. But it turned out that for CIT students, that is not their primary consideration. Okay, do the researcher able to, did we include peer pressure as one of the factors?
No, ma'am. Maybe next time when we run again the survey.
Okay, peer pressure or barkada, yeah. Anyway, from personal experience, with the senior high school students, because these are the senior high school graduates, when we started accepting senior high school students in 2018, personally, I asked the students to make an essay on why they chose computer science. So based on the essay, they're very purposive right now, the senior high school graduates. The maturity is higher compared to the junior high school. So I think that's one good thing about the senior high school. It's because they really decided that they wanted to take this, not because of peer pressure. Based on what I read from the essay, they really studied about this, and this is really what they want to do. So I think in a way that particular peer pressure was probably eliminated because of the maturity. Okay, So thank you very much, Sir Rodel, Balingit, for your questions. What's next for this? What's next for your research? Are you going to pursue this further? Are you going
yes,
to
ma'am.
pursue this
If
further?
given a lot of data, we can have insights on, for example, you want to know the attributes for a student to become a BSCS or BSIT student.
Okay, sige. Thank you very much to Hasmin. Let's award the certificate of appreciation to this group. Okay, so certificate of appreciation is awarded to Hasmin Tulin, Cheryl Pantaleon, and Erica Gina Badinas for presenting their paper during this ACM WIC-PH celebration, signed by yours truly and Dr. Rachel Edita Rojas. So let's give these people a round of applause, please. Oh, but there's a comment here, no? Okay. Sige, thank you very much. Let's just read the last comment. I agree with you, Ma'am Cherry, that, I cannot see that there's no specific trend in the senior high school and ICT understand, but there is in tech box trend. However, if they choose programming, there is not. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Ma'am Emily. Now, it's my biggest frustration just to talk about this. And anyway, this is a Women in Computing group. Maybe there are people listening out there. When the senior high school was presented, I actually, raised my hand in the public forum and said, how come there's no strand for computing? And there's no computing in STEM. What's there is an ICT empowerment strand, but it's not, you don't really get exposed to computational thinking and so on that would make you want to take computing. And I was told that the reason why they are not doing it, it's because who will teach? They said that who will teach? If you will require a computing strand, who will teach it? That was the answer. So it's a little bit sad for me, no? But I guess if we increase our tribe of IT and computing educators, maybe we can push the government to create a computing strand. I don't know, no? So anyway, let's go to the next. I'll turn you over to Leia Barbasa for that. Can we remove the certificate of appreciation here, please? Thank you, Yasmin, again. And to the others now who have did this with us, who have actually conversed with us in this presentation. Yes, Leia.
Thank you very much, Hasmin, and dear co-authors, Cheryl and Erica, for sharing the result of your research paper. And I would like to thank also, before we proceed to our next presenter, our participants for actively writing there or dropping their comments in the chat box. If you have questions, once again, you can just drop them at the Q&A portion of this room, or you can just write it in the chat box. Okay, so let's now proceed to our second research presenter this afternoon. Her paper is entitled Online Blended Learning Performance of BSIT and BSCS Students, a comparative study between male and female. Our proponent, ladies and gentlemen, is Catherine Arellano.
The COVID-19 pandemic may have brought abrupt changes to the education sector all over the world, but it made me realize that I have become a better educator than I was a year ago. Good day, everyone. I am Catherine Arellano, a faculty member from the College of Computer Studies of Cebu Institute of Technology, University, Cebu City. I am here to present my research entitled Online Blended Learning Performance of BSIT and BSCS Students, a comparative study between male and female. The world's population is dynamically increasing every second. Currently, 50.5% of the total number comprises the male population, while the remaining 49.5% that of female. Thus, this bigger number of male population follow that the male thinks and performs better in general than female. In computing, the world's first programmer was Ada Lovelace, a female. However, over the years, the male programmers dominated the IT industry. Does this also mean that the male programmers are better than female? Over a year ago, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global disease outbreak. Leaders from different parts of the world imposed community quarantine. Classes were then suspended and employers adapted to work from home setup. Because of this, both public and private schools transitioned to distance education. According to the American Association of University Professors, distance education is an education in which there is no student-teacher face-to-face interaction, and delivery is through technological media such as computers, internet, and the like. After the announcement of the community quarantine, members of Academic Council of CITU promptly drafted the Made for Learners framework, which stands for Multiple Approaches to Distance Education. In fact, the university was able to offer summer classes from April to June 2020 using the framework. This framework consists of 4 approaches which were customized to fit the unique needs and capacity of the technologians and the courses. The approaches are distance, distance blended, online, and online blended. For the College of Computer Studies, all courses adopted the online blended approach, in which 60% of the total contact hours is synchronous and the remaining 40% asynchronous. Virtual classes were created in MS Teams. Instructors announced the schedules of synchronous and asynchronous meetings on the first day of classes. Lecture discussions were done on scheduled synchronous meetings. Synchronous and asynchronous assessments such as SITWorks, assignments, quizzes, and major examinations were given through the university learning management system. The study was conducted in the midst of the pandemic when the college adopted the online blended approach. It compared the performance of the male and female third-year BSIT and BSCS students who were enrolled in the CSIT 337 Field Review course. It aimed to help the college come up with intervention programs to improve student performance. And it will guide future researches on online blended and student performance. Specifically, the research sought to answer the following questions. First, is there a significant difference between the scores of the male and female students in the pretest and the scores of the male and female students in the post-test? Second, it also aimed to answer the question, do male students perform better in the class than female students? This study follows this conceptual framework design. The study used inferential statistics for the test of significance. All third-year students who were enrolled in the CSIT 337 Field Review course were the respondents of the study. There were 120 of them, of whom 84 were male and 36 were female. The course provided a thorough review of the computing concepts they've learned from their major courses, which serve as their preparation in taking the PhilNet certification. Moreover, the students have already completed 65% of their academic requirement. A 50-item pre-test was given to them for 2 hours. A post-test was given to them on the last day of synchronous meeting. Results were then collected and analyzed using Welch's t-test. The result in Table 1 indicate that there is no significant difference between the pretest scores of the male and female students. The p-value is equal to 0.423 and the average scores of the two groups are very close. The result in Table 2 indicate that there is no significant difference in the post-test scores of the male and female students. The p-value is equal to 0.681, and the average scores of the two groups are very close. The findings of the study further confirmed the findings of Wilson that gender is not a predictor to success, and the findings of Mitritsky and Zakov and Tos et al. That no significant difference exists between the male and female students in terms of student achievement on critical thinking tests. The study concluded that, first, between male and female students in the online blended learning, there is no significant difference between their scores in the pre-test. And there is also no significant difference between their scores in the post-test. Second, male and female students perform equally in the class. The results of the study will help promote confidence to the female students that they can perform in the same level as male students in the field of computing. This, in turn, will help encourage more female students to consider computing as a career choice. The study also recommends future researchers to include resources used by the students in the online blended class, their financial capability, health conditions, and other factors that could affect student performance. These are the references to the materials included in the presentation and in the study. Finally, I would like to end this presentation with this African proverb. If you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Thank you so much, everyone, and good day.
Wow, thank you very much for that, Kathy. I really like that proverb, no? If you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Go, women, go. Do the men here agree that they only educate the individual if you educate a man? But I think maybe that's true, no? Let's have more women in, in computing. So thank you very much for that, Kathy. No? So do we have questions from the audience? If there's none, I actually gave them an order about this, because these are already, by the way, Kathy is a PhilNits passer, just to give a context to that particular, it's actually an elective course, that we ask our students to take, because we usually, prior to the pandemic, a lot of our students are taking the PhilNits examination. And we're actually, the organizers of PhilNits actually told us that we're the number one producer of PhilNits Gold Medal awardees in the Philippines. So those are the students who passed the PhilNits before they graduate. And now they're actually given a gold medal during their graduation ceremony. So CIT has been producing a lot of them. That's why a lot of our alumni are actually in Japan. Because if you pass it and you're a PhilNits certified professional, you get a working visa to go to Japan. So and there's a lot of content in the PhilNits examinations that are not usually found in the curriculum. So what we did is we did matching and we tried to embed, but then we had to cover the other aspects. And so we did this, we call it, it's actually called the correlations course. So we call it a correlations course. And then in that correlations course, we cover the topics that are not being covered. And recently, by the way, we are trying to cover TOPSIP. Just for the information, the test of practical competency in IT. Because when it was offered for the first time, sorry, I'm bragging, we actually tapped the TOPSIT, so our student was sent to Korea, because we tapped the TOPSIT. And the only reason that we can attribute it to, it's because we're basically doing the PhilNits, so that was the story about that particular course, The thing is, I'm actually basically interested to know if the same study was done for first-year students, would it be the same? Because basically, these are survivors already because they're already in the third year. So maybe there's no difference. I'm interested to see if we will have, if there will be no difference if we test the first-year students in programming, for example. I would be interested to to know about that. So let's do that.
Yes,
Let's do
ma'am.
that. I want
Yes,
to test
ma'am.
that. I want to test the first year students. Okay. Pero ikaw, what can you say? Ano? Are you teaching the first year? Can we do that for your course right now, Into Computing? Just the final exam. Can we compare that?
In the second cluster, ma'am, I would be handling, I think, all the CS programming courses, the Intro to Computing. So I am thinking of doing a study, no, on their maybe we could have or as our plan to have departmental examination. So I think based on the result, we can run a test, perhaps a correlational or a significant difference again. So I am planning to monitor their performance as early as first year students.
Yeah, that would be interesting, so that we can track, because a lot of the things, it's just gut feel. Just gut feel based on your experience. It would be nice to really look at that as early as first year. No? But anyway, we have here, okay. My question dito, can MS students take the elective course for Philnits? I know some people are having a hard time passing it several tries. Yeah, we don't do that, but I do not know. No, we don't do that really for the graduate program. But as an advice to the rest of you, you are in the educational, you are teachers. So Kathy is a Philnits passer. We have other faculty members who are Philnits passer. The chair of our IT department is a Philnits passer, Dr. Larmy Feliscoso. And she actually basically talks about this, how to basically map the Philnits content to the curriculum that we have. If you focus on the outcomes of Philnits and then try to map it, a lot of similarities, except that I think that can be done. It's a technique, no? So we're sharing our technique na tuloy, it's about the correlation scores, because our goal is basically to have the students tested. And then at the same time, it gives them a lot of opportunities. A lot of them are in Japan. So, but really, it's very difficult to pass the Philnit. So, but I think it's a very good way, of testing your curriculum and your delivery. So, unfortunately, we cannot do it for the, we'll discuss that. We can discuss that.
Before, ma'am, we used to offer correlational course in the master's program. I happened to handle a batch of students before. I think that was
I think it was a review.
5 years ago.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
It was
Yes,
a
ma'am. We
review.
have
It
that.
was not really, we just offered a review class for them because it's not really embedded. But there's another test right now, the TOPSIT, the test of practical competency in IT. It might be offered to a lot of institutions. Because of this pandemic and a lot of all of this, parang test actually stopped, unfortunately. But I think even with the pandemic and even with this online education, I think we have to try to do what we have to do, right? So that we can target those. Okay. So thank you very much. I hope that you will continue, Kati. Pasensya na, no? Kasi ako yung bossing ni Kati. I hope you will continue with that particular. I'm personally interested to know the performance of the first year female students, especially in programming. And maybe we can, I do not know, if they need more help or whatever it is. Okay. So thank you very much, Kathy. Can we have the certificate? Okay, so certificate of appreciation is awarded to Miss Catherine Arellano. Thank you very much, Kathy, for presenting her paper. This was signed by yours truly and Dr. Rachel Edita Rojas. Teka, wait. Okay, may tanong pa rin. Sorry, this is not from the paper. Are you offering Philnits review outside of your... see, Kathy has always been invited by the Philnits Foundation, right, Kathy?
Yes,
She has
ma'am.
always been invited as a reviewer, for Philnits. Maybe we can let you contact the Philnits office in Cebu. So thank you very much, Kathy. Back to you, Leah.
Thank you very much, Kathy, for sharing the results. No, the results showed that there is no significant difference between the scores of the male students and the female students, because maybe for sure, if the result would have been different, if there was a significant difference, maybe we would be bombarded with so much questions. So anyway, let's now proceed to our second invited speaker this afternoon. She graduated BS in Computer Science from Ateneo de Davao University in 1995. She finished her master's in computer applications in 2001 at MSU Iligan Institute of Technology in Iligan City. She was a member of the CS department from 1995 to 2008, where she served as chair of the CS department from 2002 to 2006. In 2008, she joined the Computational Linguistics Lab of Nara Institute of Technology in Nara, Japan, under Prof. Yuji Matsumoto. There, she worked on improving the part of speech tag set for Tagalog, and also she constructed a dependency tree tag set for Tagalog language. In October 2015, she joined Weather News Incorporated as a member of the AI Innovation Center. Currently, she is a member of the Data Analytics Center of Weather News, working on text handling or processing using some NLP tasks to improve productivity in the company. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome with a virtual applause, Ms. Erlyn Mangilimotan. Ma'am?
Afternoon, everyone. Probably before this, there was the introduction, so allow me to go straight to my presentation. The title of my presentation is Stepping Up with NLP. I started doing NLP in 2000 when I was a master's student at MSU IIT. During that time, I didn't know what to do. Probably this is a common story among master's students. Like, the problem is I don't know what's the problem. I don't have a thesis problem. So during that time, Dr. Emmanuel Lagarde, the director of the program, asked me if I am interested to work on NLP. And he introduced me to Dr. Rachel Rojas. It was kind of a long distance advisorship or mentorship because I was in Mindanao and Dr. Rachel was in Manila. However, in the end, we were able to defend my thesis. And in 2002, I went back to my home university, Ateneo de Zamboanga University. There, I integrated NLP in some of the classes, especially the structured programming language. I introduced parsers like YAC, yet another compiler, and some students were introduced to some NLP as senior project. One of the groups decided to work on a game, Tagalog Anagram, where a system gives a long Tagalog word and the player or the user will type in as many short Tagalog words as they can, as long as it's in the dictionary. It's a kind of fun just to make them feel how it is to do projects, not something like information systems. In 2008, I joined the Computational Linguistics Lab in Nara Institute of Science and Technology, or the Matsumoto Lab. I was under the supervision of Professor Yuji Matsumoto. Professor Matsumoto was known for his work in dependency analysis and many morphology and syntax work in Japanese and computational linguistics in general. My work was focused on the improvement of the Tagalog POS tag set and the construction of the Tagalog dependency analysis data. In 2015, I joined Weather News, where I am working now. I joined the AI Innovation Center, later called as AI Center. However, we are a small team, so the team was joined with the Data Analytics Center, where we are now. My work is focused on, but not limited to, text processing. I do text classification, named entity recognition, text extraction, and others, but I also do processing of numerical prediction data and others. Here is a picture of the Matsumoto Lab website. This was taken in 2013 during the 20th anniversary of the lab. And in the lab, we just don't do research. Of course, we also have some fun, like we do summer camp, we do barbecue during spring, and we do have curry dinners once a month after our Wednesday meetings. Here's a picture of foreign students in the lab with Professor Matsumoto, and the huge family of the Matsumoto lab with the rice cooker. I think it's after our curry dinner. That's why there's the rice cooker in this picture. While I was in the Matsumoto lab, I had a chance to present in PACLIC 2009 and also in 2011. 2009 in Hong Kong, 2011 in Singapore. After so many years, I met Dr. Rachel Rojas there. And I think it's many years after my thesis defense, or maybe not. But after 2009, I have not seen Mom Rachel personally. So now it's just virtually. Now let me talk about weather news. Weather news actually is a weather service and support company. We just don't give weather forecast because weather forecast now is free. You can ask Google and Google will give you the answer. So it says here weather news does not sell mere weather forecast. We have risk communicators, specialists who understand the weather risk for customers' specific markets and provide truly useful services. So we serve different industry. Let me just go back to that. We serve the sea for shipping industries, sea logistics and others, the aviation for the sky, road management, railway, etc. for land, and also energy for environment and so on, sports, and we also have the mobile app and also the internet website. And here we do predictions of different events, or for example, we do prediction for cherry blossoms, when is the best time to see and where, or what is the current status of the cherry blossoms. We also serve TV programs, broadcast on their weather reports. So going back to my presentation, Weather News is located in Makuhari Techno Garden in Chiba City. It's just next to the Kahin Makuhari station. We're several floors here. Not everything is Weather News, but we're one couple of floors in this building. If it's on a fine weather, you can probably see Mount Fuji. I took this picture from the 15th floor. And this is an example of one of the services in the Weather News app, where you can see the typhoon tracking. As soon as a typhoon becomes a typhoon, you can see it in the app and see the movement, the predicted movement of the typhoon. Probably you will be asking, why Weather News? Is there IT and Weather News, or is there NLP and Weather News? During my job hunting, I did not want to limit myself with IT companies. Of course, it would be ideal to work in an IT company, but competition is really high, especially if you have fresh graduates, fresh faces. It was very difficult competition. So I know that there is IT everywhere, and that companies in Japan would probably have their own IT. And NLP in a weather company, I thought there would be none, but I was surprised there are some tasks that fits in where NLP fits in. And I will talk about two of those projects in a while. And this is a news clip from Technologist magazine in June 2017 with the AI Innovation Center. So that's me. And the purpose of this magazine feature was to tell the market that Weather News, even if it's a weather company, we also use AI technology. So the translation of this blue thing here says, making full use of AI technologies such as natural language processing and image recognition for optimal and high quality weather services for people all over the world. This actually is based on the Google Translate. Google Translate is becoming better and better each year, especially for the translation between Japanese to English or English to Japanese. So there are several AI systems or company systems that where AI has been integrated, and two of them, although there are more, I will be talking about two of the projects today, and one is the mail handling system, and another project. But before that, let me talk a little bit more about this natural language processing task, the weather report analysis. As I mentioned earlier, we have a mobile application and we have subscribers in this mobile application. And the subscribers can send pictures with text, just like what you do in Instagram or Facebook, for example. They send message and they send pictures of their location, like they take a picture of the sky or they take picture of the clouds. And we have thousands of 1,000 of cameras all over Japan. So we match the image and the text with what the image in the camera, and we use this to improve our weather forecast. And there are hundreds of thousands of mails or texts a day, so it's difficult for human operation to read everything if there are 100,000 a day. So what we did is just using natural language processing. By the way, I did not do this project because it's in Japanese. Using natural language processing, we pick up weather-related terms and then do the analysis, matching it with the images in the camera and the picture that they sent. Another natural language processing task was the mail handling, which I did it myself, and I will introduce it in a while. But before that, let me just introduce another project, which is the pilot report. Again, the details I will discuss in a while. First, let me discuss about the mail handling system. I mentioned earlier that we serve the sea industry, the shipping industry. So we give different services, and we have customers from vessels, owners to charters or borrowers of the ships. And we have different services, but these services will start with receiving the mails from our customers. We receive around 10,000 mails daily, and before, mails are sorted manually. The mails are sorted and being forwarded to different sub-teams or referring to different services. So you just imagine 10,000 mails, and a human person would click that this mail goes to this mail goes to that, this mail goes to that. Of course, there's a system for the mail handling, but the clicking, the forwarding was done manually. So what I did is I made a text classifier, and using the text classification task, which is showed here in this slide. So in the text classification task, you have training data. In this case, we use 1.5 years of pre-labeled emails, and we do pre-processing, extracting possible features. And in this case, I used words, single word, bigram words close to each other, or trigram words, consecutive 3 words, and phrases and word dependencies. Word dependencies is you look at the verb, and for this verb, what's the subject or what's the object, or for a noun, what is the adjective, the word describing this noun, and so on. And I use all of those as features and fed it into the machine learning algorithm, and I use support vector machine in this case. As an output, there is a text classifier. So when you have a new email, you do the same pre-processing and put the feature vector. You don't do feature selection because feature selection is only done during the training phase. And once you have the features of the new mail, it's fed into the model, and the model will output the label or the category of that email. So in case of the mail handling, we put the text classifier as the first layer. So the text classifier will classify all the mails that comes in, and then since in the model there is a probability score, if the probability score is lower than the threshold that we assigned, then that mail is being sent to the human operation for the human to check and classify. However, if the threshold is the probability score is higher than the threshold, then it's automatically sorted and passed to the next team or the recipient of the mail. This is in 2017, but in 2018, we made a binary classifier. This model has around 13 categories, but in 2018, a binary classifier, or just yes or no, was integrated here because one of the category was really difficult to classify with the 13 categories. So first, we integrated another binary classification here, and the mail sorting was improved from 60% to around 70%. So only 30% was is now being checked by human operation. So what is the implication of this? One, work productivity was improved, and there is also a cut in the cost of the human operation. Before, there were 4 persons doing the task of sorting at one time. So like 8 hours of duty, for example, 4 people checking the mails. But now, during busy times, there are 2 persons doing the task, but on a regular day, only 1 person is enough to do that mail checking. The next project that I want to introduce is the Pilot Report Recognizer, or the PIREP, where the pilot report is actually when we are on the plane, we experience turbulence, for example, because we went through a cloud, or there's a bad weather condition, or there's just a hump along the way. Sometimes you feel that like, so every time there is a turbulence, the pilot sends code to the ground operation. So the ground operation receiving that code will input it into the system and will send it to all different airplanes passing through the same location. So that code was coded manually to the different system where it sends or transmits to the other airlines. Or not airlines, sorry, to the other airplanes. So the code looks something like this. So you imagine the human operation inputting that FL is for 120 feet, or so the turbulence was experienced from 120 feet to 20 feet, and feet or meters, I don't know, but anyway, there's the height, and then in INC means in cloud, and then the level of turbulence, is it strong, and what is the duration? Is it long or is it short, and so on and so forth. This is an example, and this is just one pilot report. But sometimes, while typing the information, or probably the pilot wants to send many information at once because, I don't know, for whatever reason, one line would have like 4 or 5, up to 5 reports, and then send it to the operation. So if you are the person in charge to decode this information, I guess it's hard. So what we did is we created a model using the named entity recognition task, or NER. NER is a task where you label a person's name or organization's name or a location from a text automatically. You can check what NER is later. I cannot explain everything here because of time. So in this case, we use the conditional random fields, an algorithm for sequence modeling. And just like the male classification earlier, you have a training data and you do pre-processing, in this case, tokenization, like which part do you cut the token from one string, and then you get the feature, probably what's the previous token and the next token and so on. And then you feed it into the algorithm, in this case, as I've said, the CRF, and then you have the model. Sorry. So before, everything was being done by the operation. So it's very similar to the male classification task that we did. Everything was encoded by the human operation before being sent into the different flights or airplanes. But with this one here, 50% cut off in the human operation because half of that was done by the machine learning. Actually, this accuracy was a bit higher than the classification. It's around 92% accurate, but still, because it's not just like the male, it's a kind of a safety measure. So we put a little bit higher on the threshold. So as a result, there's a reduced number of human operation and also faster sharing of information to other aircrafts. So what's the points of this presentation? One, I would like to say that natural language processing can be applied in different areas and tasks. It's not because it's not an IT company, there's no NLP. It's not like that. You can really find something. If you want, it can be a simple extraction or a simple labeling and so on. And when you do something like this, it can help improve productivity. It can help the life of the operators easier. And machine learning may not, or AI in general, may not give 100% accuracy. So we can put that little error and ask the human operation, the human to check the part that the AI cannot do. So now allow me to share about how I joined Weather News. As I've said in the beginning of the presentation, there is high competition, especially if you join an IT company. Aside from that, job hunting system in Japan is kind of unique. You will spend your whole year, 1 year before you graduate, by looking for a job. So you go to job fairs or you go to agencies, you attend company seminars, and if you are interested, you submit application. And then if in the screening you get accepted, then you go to interview. In my case, after I submitted my application, I joined a few members on a group interview with the president of the company. This system may vary from company to company. And then I did not know that there are two types of two ways to enter a company. One, there's the entry level, where graduates, whether you're PhD, master's, or undergrad, you don't have a difference. You're like, everyone is the same, and you cannot choose the position that you want. You can start by helping your senior staff and so on. And there's also the mid-career. However, during the time, I was with a group of entry-level group. So after the interview, I got the call and was told that, sorry, you are disqualified because I have past work experience. And so you're disqualified for this. However, a team is interested because of your background in NLP. So because of that, I got a chance to have an interview with a specific team. So in the end, after I had two more interviews, and after that, I joined the company. So I asked later, like, thank you for thank you for allowing me to be part of your company. And the leader of the team said that it's not every day that someone with an NLP background like you would come to our company, especially that we are not IT company. So we took the chance, and we are happy to help you and we are happy to have you in our company, something like that. And it was very, very, how to say, grateful. I am very grateful for that because of NLP. I was selected to be part of the company. So that being said, my story would be different if I did not take NLP. Probably I will not be in Japan. Probably I will not be with Weather News, or I don't know where I would be now if I did not start NLP. And I would like to thank where I began 20 years ago with Dr. Rachel Rojas and Dr. Emmanuel Agarre for introducing me to NLP. Because during that time, I could have just turned my back as early as that time. First, there was no internet, no sophisticated internet as we have now. There was no Google at the time. I would remember searching using links. If you know links, maybe you would understand what I mean. And there were no available resources or no ready resources for Tausug language. It's not easy to get. Tausug is one of a rare language in Mindanao. So I had to visit two centers of the Summer Institute of Linguistics, one in Bukidnon and one in Manila. And, they are very strict. Some of the documents cannot be copied. You cannot photocopy. So I had to write it in my notes and take notes. And yeah, it wasn't that easy. And as I've said earlier, Mom Rachel is in Manila. I was in Mindanao. And although in the end, I had to stay 1 month in Manila to get a closer supervision while writing my thesis. And there was no one to ask around. I was the only one working in MSU IIT during the time on NLP. So I was basically on my own with some advice, emails with Dr. Rachel. And sometimes I had no idea of what was I doing. So I could just have turned my back and say, I don't want this, it's difficult, and so on and so forth. But challenge accepted. I accepted the challenge. As I do research with NLP, I found out it's very interesting. And well, if there's always a way, you will always find a way on if you really want to. And about being difficult, the topic being difficult, like I don't know what to do and I don't know what I was doing. And I think that's the reason why we do research. Because we don't know. If we know, then we should not be doing that research anymore. So because we don't know, we do that research. And every time you experience that, I hope that you get that motivation. Hindi ko alam, so ayoko na. Sana hindi ganun. So we do a little of research and then find out, and that would be becoming more interesting. And I find NLP really interesting. I think that's also one that made me go through it, even if it was difficult. Even now, there are so many things that I still don't know. I'm not claiming that I know. My knowledge may be limited, but I still think that I did NLP. And thank to Dr. Rachel Rojas for introducing me to NLP. Because without her, probably I will not be doing what I am doing now. And also to Dr. Emmanuel Agarre. And I hope Mom Rachel will be inspiring more women, more students who will do NLP for the future of research in NLP. Thank you very much for listening. Magandang hapon.
Wow, thank you very much, Miss Arlene. Can we focus, Miss Arlene? Hi, Miss Arlene. How is it in Japan? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, can we focus, Miss Arlene? Miss Arlene was supposed to, be the speaker in yesterday's event, and I pirated her. I told, the organizers She belongs to the Women in Computing. Please, can we get her as a speaker in the Women in Computing? So thank you very much for that. And Ma'am Rachel, no, the mentor, the celebrity mentor also of Miss Arlene is Rachel Rojas. Ma'am Rachel, maybe you want to join us in this panel. You have
Hello.
can we focus, Ma'am Rachel?
Hello, Eileen.
Hello, Rachel. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, even if it's virtually.
Yeah, I was looking at your slide, as your slides when you mentioned 20 years ago. I think I met you for the first time 20 years ago because of Ma'am Rachel. Do you remember that?
Probably.
We spent a lot of time. It was a very short moment, but it was very memorable. But I think it was because of Ma'am Rachel, but I forgot about that.
You're revealing our age.
Yeah. I do not actually want to say that, because Michelle, we were together 12 years ago, but I know that Miss Arlene was longer because I know that I was still with UP Cebu when I met you, if I'm not mistaken.
I think I visited CIT. I talked to Larmy.
After that na, right? I met you even before that. I don't know Ganun lang ba yun? But anyway, no, I'm so happy to see you here. How's Japan?
Well, it's fine now. We had a huge earthquake the other night, but I'm fine. Yeah, intensity 6, but yeah, thank God I'm safe. Everyone's safe. Yeah, it's.
So if you have questions for the audience, you may type it in the Q&A. Otherwise, we're gonna, we will be talking a lot here because we have not seen. Mr. Ma'am Rachel, do you have questions for
Only question. Yeah, because in Japan, I think the structure is very, very rigid as compared to, or in contrast to the Philippines. So, can you share some of your experiences or challenges as a woman in your field?
Yeah, actually, Japan is very, still dominated by men in many ways. Like you hardly see a woman professor in the university. They're still dominated by men. And in the company, most of the leaders in the company, because this is the first experience outside academia. I used to work in Ateneo for 12 years, Ateneo de Zamboanga for 12 years, and then academia, and then here. So most of the leaders in the company are still men. And, it's not only that I'm a woman and it's hard to talk to them. I think the Mom Michelle earlier is like intimidated. You feel intimidated, and especially because I'm a foreigner. So sometimes they don't want to talk to you, not only because you're a woman, but because you're a foreigner. And it was really like a struggle. But thanks to studying language and studying language, and I have to work hard. I have to take the JLPT just to be able to learn to communicate with them. So it's a kind of a struggle in the communication. And thanks to that, little by little, I get the trust of the company. And that's why most of my work now, when you say NLP, they call me. When you say NLP, they have that, because I'm the only one working NLP in the company, although there are 3 of us who have this field of specification, but the other 2 are in different workspace. So yeah, I mean, being a woman in the field, it's kind of different. But another thing is, whether they're dominated by men, your work better than anybody else. I think I also got that from Ma'am Rachel 20 years ago. Mas alam mo kung ano yung sasabihin mo, mas alam mo kung ano yung ginawa mo kesa iba. So don't be even if you feel like, oh my God, it's scary, don't feel intimidated because you did your work. So you know the answer to every question. So I think that's just it. So yes, it's and I said earlier in the job hunting, you see all men, fresh graduate, and then you're there and a woman, and especially for IT, most of the women are not in the IT. They go to accounting or other fields. So pag sabihin mong IT, puro lalaki yung kasama mo sa job hunting. But yeah, thank God I survived, and I'm here still surviving.
Yeah, your presentation was really interesting, about how it is done, it's whether because as I said earlier, we have a lot of students in Japan. So when I visit Japan, so I see a lot of the students, and they're really very dependent on the weather, right? And they are get mad, if the weather is, it's wrong. They said it says it will rain here and so on and so forth. They always look at their cell phones, and I know that, right? That the Japanese, they're very dependent on this weather forecast and so on and so forth. So are there other agencies aside from yours that
Yes,
working on the weather? So there are a lot of competing agencies?
yes, there are another, aside from the JMA or the Japanese Meteorological Agency,
Yeah, okay.
private agencies, like a couple of them. But I think Weather News is one of the biggest.
Okay. Yeah.
When I visit their own, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. That's nice. It's exciting. It's an exciting thing. Listening to you, because I also did that. I looked at you mentioned about the cherry blossoms prediction. So when I visited Japan, because you don't get to visit Japan, I wanted to see the cherry blossom. I was looking at the predictions and I was looking at all of this graph. So when you were mentioning that, and they said that it's very difficult to predict, right?
Yes. It depends on the weather conditions. Sometimes it's become very early if it's too hot and then gets cold. So actually, maybe you were reading our article because we're the only ones doing that.
Really?
Only one in Japan doing that because we have as I've said, we have the supporters. They take pictures and they send it to us and we analyze it. And Japanese, I don't know how to look at the blossom. So the bud, they would say tomorrow it will bloom, it will be this big.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that. Maybe it's Japanese culture, but yeah.
Okay. That's why it was really interesting listening to you talk about that because of that personal experience. And then you realize that there's so many things that IT can do now. But we also have students working on weather data also here in Cebu. So we have students doing, machine learning for Cebu data. I'm sure they are here and I hope that they are listening.
Yes.
So maybe they can get insights from your talk. The paper actually got accepted for presentation in the conference this October. It's about weather data. Shout out to those students who are here.
Unfortunately, not very doing much on the weather part. Another member.
Yeah, you're in the NLP part. Yeah, that's right.
The processing, like if they want to do something, can you help us? Because sometimes they're too busy and okay, I have time. So I do the weather, numerical weather prediction models. So different in terms of NLP, very different in terms of data.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I get to experience that. And still, NLP helped me in finding words easier, numbers easier, for example, than usual. By the way, I want to say hi to Ma'am Didi Rodrigo. I met her back in NAIS when she came here. She was Ma'am Didi. She's not there anymore anyway.
Some did it here. Yeah, we have the Power Women of IT here in Timana. But because she's outside of the country, I do not know the time. Maybe she left and she's also outside. So from the US to Japan right now, not?
Yes.
So do we have questions? So there are, you might want to read the chat, but anyway, we have, can you share, how is it with the data privacy, how is it with the weather news now? Since this is aggregate. I don't know if there are privacy.
Of course, there are privacy. Just like what I said earlier, I can only mention two of the projects because there are other tasks that I did, but we cannot give we cannot freely talk about our.
Yeah, it's trade secret. It's trade secret.
The PIREP was done with Japan Airlines. I can say that because there is the public article. But if there was no public article, I cannot share that. So things like that. In fact, when I got this invitation from Dave first.
Because I pirated you. Hi, Dave.
I had to ask my leader if it's possible to talk about the PIREP project. And they said, as long as you're careful with the customer information, so things like that. Of course, we cannot share about our customers that easily. And I am a bit careful about that as well.
Yeah, that's an exciting too. I did not realize that, yung the pilot giving data and so on and so forth. Yeah. So parang because at least now we're not worried, no? Because we know that, there's a guide out there, no? In case there's a turbulence out there, no? So they are guided pala outside because of all of this data that they are sharing. No?
Yes,
That's
yes.
good to know. That's that you're safe in a way. No?
That you're safe, true. Especially if you take Japan Airlines. Just kidding.
Yeah. That's that's a good thing. Okay.
Any questions?
Any other questions? You have a former student here saying shout out, no? Si Eileen. I'm sure you miss Eileen.
She's now with UP Cebu.
Yeah, she's with UP Cebu. And then another here, inspiring experience, interested in preserving my native language from Rodney Maniago. Maybe you can communicate with him.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, he's our student right now in CIT. So you can get Miss Erlene as an advisor. You can also we will try to get Ma'am Rachel. Advice, But anyway.
Sure.
In one, I think Eileen Opinan can say that I was assistant advisor or co-advisor and that paper was presented in PACLIC 3-4 years ago. Yes. Actually, I can advise. I just cannot be a full-time worker because I can help advise. And I would
that's good.
Advice.
So, so do we have other Ma'am Rachel? Maybe you have.
Can we also promote because we also have a special interest group on natural language processing under the Computing Society of the Philippines. So maybe those who are interested can also join that special interest group.
Has that been organized? Has that been organized? Do you have already have?
Yes.
That's good.
We have annual events. The National NLP Research Symposium. So I think the board now is planning a series of webinars.
Yeah, and Arlene will join us already, of course, Arlene, because you're already part of the Computing Society of the
Yes, I became a member. Thanks so much. Rachel, hindi ako makano eh.
Thank you, Arlene.
Thank you, Ms. Arlene.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Arlene and Doc Rachel Rojas. And also, let's officially award and thank her. Can we flash the certificate of appreciation, please? The certificate of appreciation, of course, is awarded to Ms. Arlene Mangalimotan for serving as speaker. Now, I'm sure we learned a lot from her today during the ACM WIC-PH celebration held today, signed by yours truly and Dr. Rachel Edita Rojas. So thank you very much, Ms. Arlene, and we really appreciate your time with us.
Nice to see you again.
Okay, so I now turn you over to Leah. Leah?
Thank you once again, Ms. Erlene, for those information. NLP can indeed be applied to all areas if you're just going to maybe dig deeper into what's happening in the society. And AI also, on the other hand, as what was shared last Thursday by one of the speakers of CSP during the CSP's conference, can be applied also in all aspects in all business sector. So let's now proceed to our paper presentation this afternoon. Our third paper presenter this afternoon include Natsuko Uchida, Chuchi Montenegro, Yasushi Kono, Hiroyasu Kakuda with their paper entitled Introductory Programming Education with PBL for Non-IT Students and Post-Course Effects.
Hello, my name is Natsuko Uchida. Our presentation title is Introductory Programming Education with PBL for Non-IT Students and Post-Course Effects. IT has been used only by a limited number of people, mainly professionals. But in recent years, it has become an indispensable part of the lives of ordinary people. In this information society, ICT is used for solving various problems, improve people's lives. However, solving the issue around us cannot be handled only by a group of IT specialists. It is necessary for diverse people to share their knowledge, cooperate, and interact with each other to resolve them. So, in developing a better society, engineers and non-engineers need to understand each other and cooperate with them. And everyone needs to have basic IT knowledge. One of that knowledge is programming. In Japan, programming education in elementary school started in April 2020. In April 2021, the courses of study for junior high school were revised, and in April 2022, the course of study for high schools will be revised, and all students will be required to learn programming. In addition, the subject of information has been added to the common test for university admission in 2025. With this change, programming education has been systematically set as mandatory education. However, in higher education, there is no mandatory curriculum, and each university is working on its own curriculum. Japan's Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology surveyed 750 universities in 2016. Many schools set IT classes and electives. The contents of the classes are keyboarding and how to use Office productive tool. Curriculum are left up to each university, so it is difficult to change and systemize them, especially in women's colleges that do not offer IT majors, such as my university, Ferris University. Students go out into the world without having the opportunity to learn programming. So today's university students go out in the society without having the opportunity to learn programming knowledge. We have another problem, women's interest in IT. In the PISA 2018 survey of female students, the question was, do you expect to work in an ICT-related profession? Only one of Japanese girls answered yes. This is the lowest result among 15 years old female students in 63 countries. One of the reasons for this seems to be that parents and teachers unconsciously have a bias against women. Other influences, such as not being good at math or that programmers are men's job, may be blocking women's interest and potential. We have the following three missions. The first is increasing diversity in computing courses and careers. The second is encouraging students to consider computing in their future. Third is employment support and retention for girls and women in non-computing courses. The purpose of our research is to develop a curriculum that focuses on the basic knowledge required in the information society. Our goal is to develop a curriculum that is easy for everyone to learn and use effectively even in a limited amount of time, and to investigate what works effectively in post-learning activities. We believe that it is important to educate students not only to acquire knowledge, but also to utilize and develop the obtained knowledge. In this presentation, we focus on introductory programming education in higher education. This is the curriculum we designed. We added a module of software development project as PBL. We wanted the student to not only acquire programming knowledge, but also to experience how to utilize it. In the first half, students learn the basic of programming. Here, we focus on control structures, sequence, repetition, divisions, and abstraction. To consolidate the knowledge learned in the first half, students will work individually on midterm assessments. In the second half of the course, lesson 7 to 15, 3 to 4 students will work as a team. In this part of the course, we have added the software development project element. Developing software is difficult for novice students, so we decided to design a picture as software. In the project, each team member is responsible for each part of the picture and integrate them to complete the project. Then, in addition to drawing pictures, we will design and commercialize nail stickers and t-shirts. In addition to this, students create animation to show off their products. In this way, even novice can learn the basic of programming and an overview of software development. Visual language such as Scratch are often used for introductory level education, but we use Ruby language to gain a deeper understanding of how computers work. The drawing materials prepared by the teacher side are easy to understand visually, and the students help each other and their classmates to adapt. Over the course of 15 lessons, students will learn not only how to write code, but also how to share data, create documents, and make presentations. This is a part of the teaching materials. Draw the blueprint, write the code, and execute it. The output is a PPM file, so students need to convert it to a JPEG or a GIF file. This is an example of 4 students creating their own parts and combine them into a single image. Divide a picture into different parts and assign roles to each member of the team. The finished parts are integrated into the library, and the parts are integrated to complete one picture. Also, make each part available for use in other pictures and animations. In this example, a single scene is shown, but by modeling it in this way, students can learn about the significance of objects and their reuse. In our final report, we asked the students what they had learned from taking the class. We did a text mining analysis of these descriptive answers. The results are shown here. The keywords role sharing, schedule, and discussion are displayed in large font. In this presentation, we don't show the data on programming, but we think this figure shows the effects of the team project in addition to the programming knowledge. We investigate the effects of this lesson on the students after they took the class. I would like to point out that we have not yet collected data from the large number of students, and since this is a pilot survey, It has not been researched in depth. This survey was conducted in one online description format, and we received 12 responses. We asked the question, how was this class beneficial? The result of survey were summarized and the following 3 main points were made clear. First one, by coding programs and working on projects, students were able to experience the discovery, analysis, and the solution of problems, leading to the development of problem-solving skills. Second, in the process of executing the programming and producing the results, the student experienced try and error. This experience has been utilized in problem-solving projects. Third one, when a problem happens with the system, they do not rely on the experts, but they take the minimum necessary initial action on their own. In addition, we received the following response from a student who worked in customer service. The experience of working on a project with a team has been effective in helping her understand how to listen to the requests of customers, to understand their needs, and how to share information within the team. This experience has led to action to provide better services. This curriculum was an introduction to programming, but it had the effect of PBL, where students learn to program with others logically. We presented a practical curriculum on a new introductory programming education combined with PBL. We showed the minimum curriculum structure, 90 minutes, 15 lessons, and 2 credits. We showed the post-learning effects of non-IT majors learning programming with PBL. Through programming projects, students were able to improve their problem-solving skills, teamwork, information sharing, and understanding of others, requirements and needs by thinking logically and experiencing try and error. Even if one does not become a technician, IT knowledge is essential for work, and learning through PBL is highly effective for post-class activities. We would like to continue our efforts to expand learning opportunities and the bottom up for non-IT major women. If you are interested in our project, please see the Ruby World Conference 2020. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. Ma'am, may I focus, ma'am? What is your first name, ma'am? That's Sukob. Is she here?
Yes.
Yeah, can you focus, ma'am? That's Sukob. Thank you, ma'am. No, also from Japan. Can we, are you here, ma'am? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, but is your camera on? Are you okay to share your camera or?
Yeah, I can share.
Okay. Okay. Hi. Thank you very much for joining this conference, ma'am. I think we've met before, no? Do we have questions from the audience? I hope that you can chat your questions from the audience. But anyway, it was really quite surprising for me, no? The 1% who said yes, if they are interested in that particular question, it was quite surprising for me.
I also surprised.
Yeah, I felt that when I saw our result that we only have about 30% female students in the computer science and IT program, I actually felt sad about it. But when I saw the 1% who said yes, no, from that survey, so the Philippines is, I think, in a much better position.
Yeah,
I do
I
not want
think
to
so.
say that. I do not want to say that. Another thing is because in CIT we have a lot of partner Japanese companies, and they really hire from the Philippines, and I'm happy about that. That at least the Philippines is on the radar, because when we went to Japan, they actually go to Vietnam. Before it was China, and then it became Vietnam, and then I was saying, why not the Philippines? Because I know that the presidents would say that they go to the Philippines because they cannot really hire enough manpower in IT, from Japan, and maybe it's because of this. And even for the mail, I think it's going down. Is it that true? Even for the mail,
Yes,
is
there
it going down? The interest in programming and IT, is it going down in Japan?
my students, some students like IT and then smartphone. They like to look at YouTube and then
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But maybe not the actual
but it's
programming.
difficult to use a laptop and then it's difficult to make a code.
Because I do not want to say this, but I think it's an opportunity for the Filipinos to go to Japan and work in the Japanese companies, because I've seen a lot of students, their lives changed because they had an opportunity to go to Japan. So they worked there. They were able to, develop very good. They were able to basically, their families, they were able to be financially, okay because of their work in Japan. So I think, in a way, now I feel good for the Philippines because we have a lot of IT, and a lot of them, they go to Japan. Even for the female, I know a lot of female grads of CIT who are in Japan working. But what are the government doing in order to?
So the government is moving and changing the curriculum. So everybody must to study, but it's difficult to make a population for women's IT.
Still difficult.
IT measures.
Yeah, because that's my frustration in the Philippines, that we are not teaching programming at the lower level. So I was also surprised that that is the situation in Japan, that it's not required, that, because you don't really get to experience it if you don't experience it in the basic education. That's right. But I see you all the time, and thank you for joining thank you. Do we have questions from the audience? Thank you for always joining, conferences.
Invite me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you very much. And I hope that we can continue sharing all of these things, the educational system in Japan, as well as here in the
I hope to research again.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay,
Ma'am
so
Cherry,
yes,
Ma'am Cherry,
we have
excuse me, we
questions.
have a raise of hand from Miss Arlene.
Okay.
Maybe she has.
Yeah, Arlene is also from
want to
both in Japan. Yes, Arlene.
Konnichiwa. I just want to share what she said. Even in our company, we hire from India for our IT development team, and for those Japanese who join our company, because it's really a struggle that we need IT everywhere. I said
Yes.
so. What our company does is we do home training, home-based training. So when they come into our company, we still train people to do programming. So, but it's different when you have been programming since university, and you've been trained to do that, and you're just trained for like Python for some processing and things like that. So it's really different. So it's struggling, and as what Miss Cherry said, it's an opportunity for Philippines. Although in our company we have from Vietnam and Thailand and India.
Yeah.
But there are 3 of us Filipinos in the company.
That's good.
So no, sorry, 4. So 4 Filipinos in the company, but it would
I
be
know one another.
yeah. So it would be nice to have more. Anyway, that's just a comment that we need more IT.
Yeah. But yeah, and I look at it at the bright side for the Filipinos because I hear that all the time in Japan. And to take in the positive side, it's an opportunity for the Filipinos. And actually for the IT, so the PhilNITS is actually an opportunity because when they pass that, they do not have to pass through the rigors of getting a visa or something like that. So, and then it's an opportunity for them to go to Japan as PhilNITS passer. But anyway, so thank you very much, Erlene, for that sharing. And let's give a round of applause to our presenter from Japan. So let's give the certificate of appreciation. And I hope that you will continue to support our group, the Women in Computing Group. So certificate of appreciation is awarded to Natsuko Uchida, Chuchi Montenegro, Yayushi Kuno, and Hiroyasu Kakuda. Okay. For presenting their paper in this ACM WIC-PH celebration, signed by yours truly and Dr. Rachel Edita Rojas. Let's give them a warm round of applause, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ma'am Natsuko, and to your team for sharing. It is indeed true, right, that students develop their programming skills when they themselves experience discovering, analyzing, and solving problems. And by the way, we have evaluation form at the end of the conference, which serves as the basis for the distribution of the certificate. And now we have our last but not the least, paper presenter this afternoon with their paper entitled IoT-based Smart Agriculture System for Multiple Users with AI Integration for Growing Giusepium. The presenters include Elram Espra, Eda Marie Bohol, and Aldren Kim Concordia.
Good day, everyone. My name is Elram Espra, together with my co-authors Eda Marie Bohol and Aldrin Kim Concordia from Cebu Institute of Technology University, here to present to you our research entitled IoT-based Smart Agriculture System for Multiple Users with AI Integration for Growing Giusepium, commonly known as cotton. Growing plants has been an essential part of human society, and agriculture productivity and efficiency is at the center of many of the debates, policies, and measures concerning the farming sector. The plants in these sectors needs to be tended carefully to grow to their maximum potential. And in this, smart farming is a new trend that stresses the use of ICT in the cyber-physical farm management cycle. These new technologies, like the Internet of Things and cloud computing, are projected to accelerate this trend by allowing farmers to use more robots and artificial intelligence. By automating agriculture and farming processes, IoT and similar technologies can make these more efficient. Irrigation, as one example, is an agricultural process that helps crop productions by supplying the needed water to the soil. And with this, cotton, or also known as thirst crop, is a type of natural fiber that is produced by a plant that is leafy, a green shrub that is related to the hibiscus species of plants, and it is both a food and a fiber crop. This paper focuses on the implementation of the IoT website and the neural network to be used to know the status of the plant, specifically Giusepium, from the live data that will be gathered through the device. For the objectives of our study, it is to create a website to monitor the sensor data and to easily visualize them for the user. Second is to create a prototype device that collects sensory data from the environment. Third is to create a neural network capable of predicting the state in which to irrigate the plant with more than 80% accuracy from the test data. And lastly, to know the website usability and what the user thinks of the user interface and its technical aspects. For our theoretical framework, many studies have already done smart agriculture, and even farmers are using IoT to increase farm efficiency, such as irrigation and fertilization, by using sensors to monitor and make better decisions. The innovative smart agriculture irrigation system has enhanced farmland productivity, reduced water consumption, eliminated the need for labor, reduced soil erosion, and nutrient leaching. It is a cost-effective solution and produces high-quality crops. Cotton is leading worldwide in terms of textile fiber demands. Despite the selective breeding efforts of humans, many of the wild characteristics of cotton have not been removed, which makes it innate which makes its innate growth pattern challenging to grow, thus leading to the growing demand for threads that were synthetically produced. Now, these factors include root growth, temperature, and most importantly, water. As the cotton plant needs mostly warm temperature, it would naturally need more water. With this important aspect of the production of cotton, the research focuses on creating an irrigation system that waters the cotton plant based on the ambient temperature and the soil moisture to help production yields of cotton. On the other hand, Internet of Things paved the way to revolutionary changes in the existing methods in agriculture, as it creates a whole new opportunity in plant and crop production, while it also gives a new range of hurdles for the sector when IoT and traditional farming techniques are used together. IoT applications and devices, especially in wireless communication, have been extremely studied for specific agricultural applications, from automatic irrigation systems to drone technology used in large-scale farming. And with this, several future and current trends in IoT can be highlighted for research studies. In terms of wireless communication, ESP chips come in a wide variety of low-powered chip modules to standalone development boards. These chips contain Bluetooth and Wi-Fi used for wireless communication through other ESP chips or other compatible devices. This can also send data to servers and relay this data to other devices or vice versa. Now, ESP chips with Wi-Fi functionalities can access data in the cloud and therefore access cloud computing resources. This, in turn, enables the accessibility for servers, storage, service, application, communication, or networks that can be easily gained with small to no service interaction or effort. Now, with access to cloud computing technologies, we can in turn apply machine learning in the research. So machine learning is mainly to discover algorithms that is reusable in multiple applications. It is applied in a wide variety of domains, but fundamentally it just asks the question of what algorithm has a more accurate classifier given a new domain of datasets. And one most prominent application is neural networks. And for controlling devices or IoT devices, fuzzy logic is mostly used. Fuzzy logic is a robust and well-recognized alternative in control applications. This is due to its nonlinear modeling capabilities, where it is very useful in complex applications. By combining these technologies together, there can be infinite studies and possibilities for future researches. For our methodology, our research design mainly has both quantitative and qualitative data, with quantitative for our neural network for our neural network results, and qualitative data for our usability tests and questionnaires for the website evaluation. We used existing data from Kaggle in order to test and train our neural network. We used the RAD model for software development in order for it to be fast and within our time limit. We also use prototyping for our hardware. Our circuit diagram for our initial prototype was made using Proteus PCB design and circuit simulator. The main components of our device is the microcontroller, the ESP32, the sensors, and also the actuators. The finished prototype is a bare circuitry with the attached modules mounted on a universal plastic circuit board. Mounted on a universal plastic circuit board. The sensors we used are the following: DHT22 temperature and humidity sensor, CGMCU34725 RGB color sensor, and the LM393 soil moisture sensor. As for our actuators, there is our mini submersible pump used for the irrigation. As for our software, there are two softwares in this research. The first is of the website, and the second is on the device. As for our software, it can be divided into three parts: the website, the software for the device, and the neural network. Now, for making the website, we use the rapid application development model because of the time constraints and because this systematically enforces changes based on feedback while making the front end and the back end. We also used automation tools for the software development for the process to be streamlined and have its development time reduced significantly. The packing, hosting, and interfacing automation tools helped greatly in achieving the research in the time allotted. So our frameworks and libraries that were used are the following: React.js framework for the React.js framework for the website, Firebase service for the backend and the data storage, embedded fuzzy logic library by Arduino, and also TensorFlow library for our neural network. For our results and discussions, in order to validate our neural network, we use the 5x2 cross-validation method, where the dataset is randomly divided into two blocks, the training data and the test data, then trained and tested as its accuracy is recorded, and the test and training data are then switched to also train and test from the same model. This process is repeated 5 times, and the mean accuracy from the total iterations of the model exceeds an acceptable rate of about 80%. As for our usability test results, the initial iteration of our website has the easiness and the navigation flow said by the users and the easiness of the data presentation, while it should also be improved mainly on the design. In conclusion, a website capable of monitoring sensory data from several devices was made, and a device complementing it was developed that collects these data from the environment. The neural network model, which can predict more than 80% accuracy of the test data, derived from the original dataset separated from the training data, has an acceptable range. As for the usability of the website, the participants supplied only one usability problem in terms of design, as this is the initial iteration, but were overall able to go through and appreciate the user experience. As for our recommendations, we recommend that the artificial neural network model would be integrated in the monitoring website. We would also recommend a casing for the device with which the current look of the prototype and ergonomics may be retained. Furthermore, we would like to recommend a new model that incorporates the other sensors to the neural network, and the data to be used should be from what was collected by the device. Finally, we would like to recommend adding an overall admin page that can see all the devices and their histories, as well as the current state of the neural network model, as well as an improved design. So these are our bibliography. Thank you so much for listening, and again, have a good day.
Okay, thank you, Elram. Can we focus, Elram? To the audience, you might be wondering why we have a technical paper here, no? Compared to the other papers presented. So we actually also have a call for contributions, contributions of computing to society. So in this particular case, this is basically computing as applied to agriculture. So we are open for paper presentations. The papers that have been presented underwent review, no, but we did not really get a lot of papers. So hopefully next year we can get more papers, and we encourage all of the participants to send papers next year. No? So do we have questions? No, in a separate chat group, I have a question for you, Elram. What's the use of the fuzzy logic in your study? How did you use the fuzzy logic in your study?
The fuzzy logic, ma'am, is working for the device so that it will control the main irrigation system. Like for
Is it the level of the
pump.
water or yeah? Okay. The
Flow, ma'am.
The flow. Okay. Yeah, the flow of the pump based on the irrigation level. Okay. So those are your. That's the question. What are your fuzzy sets? I don't know if that answered your question, ano? Okay, you continue.
So the inputs, ma'am, was based on two variables from within the neural network, and also a separate input from the color sensor, ma'am.
Okay, I hope that answers the question about the fuzzy sets. No? What's next for this? Particular research?
The next should be incorporating the trained neural network to the existing website, so that we can already use the trained data, ma'am.
So do you already have, may identified ano na ba to? If you're gonna do that, if you're really gonna do physical testing, actual testing? You have identified na ba an area, or are you gonna change the plant? you can use this for other.
Yes, ma'am. We can change the plant, ma'am, but we opted for cotton because of the availability of the data set, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So anyway, so thank you very much for sending your. Yes,
Ma'am Cherry, we have a question in the Q&A box.
Okay, sorry, no. Okay, so okay. Regarding your hardware, what measures have you considered to protect these sensors from environmental elements such as rainwater pests to ensure data is still collected?
This will, thank you for that question, sir. So regarding these factors, we did not include them on protecting from the device, because right now we have the first initial prototype first.
Yeah, so you only you were not able to physically test it, right? So what happened was they have a model, and then they have the prototype. Unfortunately, the final integration, right, was not yet done.
For the neural network, ma'am.
Yeah, it was not. It's not that. So you were, because it's related to the next question. What errors did you encounter? What or failures? No. But anyway, did you encounter a failure in the prototype creation or in the neural networks? What were the challenges?
Yes, ma'am. I think it was especially based on the. It was because it is based on
an existing data set. So failures occurred when we were trying to emulate using the our existing prototype.
Okay, so there's a comment here and in the chat box. Using hobbyist grade actuators and sensors, will your faucets change if you use industrial grade ones? Have you considered, the difference between, maybe, I don't know, low cost ba yung sinasabi ng hobbyist? And so it's different when you're actually using the industry grade ones.
Yes, ma'am. For now, it was based on hobbyist grade sensors because of their availability on ping.
Yeah, so it's more of a like a proof of concept thing, and that has not been integrated. Anyway, thank you for doing this. Because that's one area that has actually been emphasized by our speaker later, the use of AI and the use of technology for agriculture. So it's a good thing that you're doing.
And Ma'am Cherry, there's
so
also a raise of hand
from there's another one.
Sir Chris. There's a raise of
there's
hand.
Another one. Okay, Chris. Another Chris.
Or I guess that was already his question.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Okay. So I guess that's it. So let's award thank you, Elram. Let's give Elram a round of applause, please.
Thank you.
And we want to award the certificate of appreciation to Elram Espra, Eda Marie Bohol, Eldrin Team Concordia for presenting their paper during the ACM WIC-PH celebration held today, signed by yours truly and Dr. Rachel Edita Orojas. So thank you, Elram. And now we have a last speaker, who will be introduced by Leah Barbasa. Go ahead, Leah.
Thank you again, Elram, and to your team. The research, right, is in the agriculture aspect, so it just goes to show that AI and IoT can be applied in all business sector. So let us now at this point listen to our last invited speaker this afternoon. Our invited speaker began her career with multinationals as an e-learning developer, then moved to e-publishing and graphic design, then found herself in project management. She joined AIAH, a growing tech company which envisions a world where businesses are run by bots and managed by brains, where she was its first project manager, but has quickly moved up to lead project development to her current role, where she leads day-to-day operations, and because she has to corral a highly energetic team of slightly crazy professionals, found her calling in people empowerment. She graduated with a diploma in BS in Information Technology from STI College in Calibo and is now taking her MBA Regis in Ateneo de Manila University, Graduate School of Business. She is also a certified Scrum Master and Scrum Product Owner. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome and let us give our virtual applause to Ms. Joyce Villadolid.
Hello, everyone. Good day. I hope everyone's staying safe and are okay. Thank you very much for having me today, and thank you for being with us today as well. My topic for this afternoon is breaking the gender stereotype. Being a woman leader in tech. So this is mostly based on my personal journey and on how I got where I am today. And I hope that you'll be able to relate and learn a thing or two. All right. But yeah, before I move further, so let me introduce myself. My name is Joyce M. Villadolid. I am the COO and co-founder of Aya.ai. I have 10 years of experience in handling large-scale projects. I am a certified Scrum Master and a certified Scrum Product Owner. So yeah, let me walk you through her story. Anyway, they say that our careers and our personal journeys are can be referred into a product life cycle. stages, but I like to refer mine using our usual startup terms. So we have prepare, launch, refine, optimize, and scale. So let's go to the preparation stage. So yeah, I took up BS in Information Technology and STI College Calibo, Aklan. And, I found myself falling in love with multimedia arts back then. I love the instant gratification of seeing my output and not just plain shapes, but with colors and the stuff that are moving, animations and stuff, and seeing them come to life in an instant. And before graduation, actually sent out more than a dozen of job applications. So this is the part where I was, I was getting prepared, getting the tools that I need to essentially, that I will need essentially to, go into the outside world. Next, so we have launch. So this is the launch stage, essentially. So it was before graduation that I actually landed my first job as an e-learning developer in an e-learning company. It was actually in Alabang. I got a referral from one of my mentors during my internship in Makati. And, I was 19 back then. And I was actually considered as a saling ket-ket, by my boss. But, I said, okay, why not? Sige lang, because I needed experience. But, I still received my salary, but it's when you base it on today's market rate, it's below minimum. But yeah. So then after a few months, a friend of mine referred me to this multinational company in Makati. So it was for a graphic designer / e-publisher position. So this is where I actually experienced my formal corporate setting. Now I've had about 3 to 4 years rank and file status, and then one of the projects that I was involved with had an opening for a project team leader position. So I applied, and thankfully I got the role. But the catch is it's on night shift. So I had to work during US hours. And I had to start the team by myself to test the waters and to get an assessment. But I had to build the team. But I'll be able to build the team if ever I'm successful with a few months of working by my own or on my own. So yeah, but I accepted the challenge, and I was able to build a team of, I think it was 7, including myself, doing production work and QA and delivery. So yeah, so that's my launch stage, and we go to refinement. So yeah, so I've already embarked in the project management role or journey, as a project lead. And I was in a night shift for 2 straight years, so which had seriously affected my health. So I moved into another company and officially held the project manager position. It was the company which was fully owned, it was a wholly owned subsidiary of one of the largest telcos here in the Philippines. So I worked closely and handled developers, QAs, and yeah, majority of them were men or were male. So this is where I refined my skills as a project manager. And, I didn't have that formal project management training, but I was self-taught. And, I had to learn as I go, and while handling developers and QAs, I had to understand and, I had to be up to date with the technologies being used Then I moved into a technology arm of one of the biggest FMCGs in the world. And I was the first female project manager handling all male developers. I had to handle male developers who were older than me, and who oftentimes questions my authority and my ability to lead. But this wasn't the first time. That wasn't the first time where I had to where my abilities were questioned because I was a woman essentially. But this is where it became apparent. During those times, it really became apparent that even when you're a woman who's already in a management role, you still need to prove yourself that you essentially deserve to be there. And it took some time, a lot of back and forth, a lot of not much arguments, naman, but it's a lot of communication, I would say. For them to let go of their egos and accept that I was their boss, that they were reporting to me. But yeah, I developed a thick skin. No, not in a bossy way, but I made them realize that I am capable and that I could not be fooled, and I can still read and understand their codes when I have some doubts on the excuses or the answers that I get from them when I have questions. So yeah, so that's my refinement stage, and we go to optimization. How do I optimize myself? Make myself more efficient, essentially. After my stint with the tech arm of that FMCG, I wasn't really aware, but yeah, I joined. That year was when startups were beginning to get known, or they're making their mark in the industry. So yeah, I joined a tech startup. So it's Innovantage, now known as Aya. Aya has a vision of a world where businesses are run by bots and managed by brains. I joined Aya as the first project manager for software development. And after 2 years, I moved to product development and then to leading its day-to-day operations as the COO of the company. Today, okay, until today. Yeah, so that's optimization. Now we move to scale. So how do I make myself, or how do I ensure that I make myself relevant? So this is where I've decided to take my MBA in Ateneo Graduate School of Business under the Regis program. It's not just because you're already there. There comes a point where your career might get on a plateau. So you have to make sure that you invest in yourself and you make yourself relevant, essentially. So yeah, you keep on learning. Get out there, get as much experiences as you can. Okay, so we move to we're done with explaining her story or my story. So we move to the startup life. I think this is where my career got really on its peak. Moving from multinationals, corporate, and then to a startup, it was really, really different. So yeah, the journey was not in any way an easy fit. I've had my fair share of being discriminated, being a woman as for being a woman working in a sector which is highly governed by men. And joining a startup gave me the chance. It gave me an avenue to empower our employees and create an inclusive culture. We were able to grow a team of 13 people to 100 in a span of 7 years. And the struggles are real. I leading a startup as the COO. Again, I had no proper training. I had to learn as I go. I have to and I'm still learning. So I have to learn the fundamentals of HR, the ins and outs of HR, finance, operations, while at times I still handle projects, product development, to help the team. So I still get my hands dirty. I actually like working with the team on the ground. So I've spent long nights working with the team to ensure deliverables are met. And yes, so what they say about being on top sometimes it feels lonely. So working with my team, being hands on, really help keeps me sane. So yeah, so that's that's the team on the top left corner, and we started just 13 or less in that third picture from the top. Yeah, and the bottom part, as although I was a COO, but I had HR and whatnot, teams under me, and I go with them. Like for this one, this is I think a job fair in Ateneo. So I was there. We're hiring. We were hiring with our co-portfolios under Kickstart. We were hiring students, looking for interns and new hires for fresh grads. So yeah, moving on. So the ecosystem. So as a COO, I was also given the chance to meet a lot of people in different fields, and expand my network through our investors, and receive mentorships from people who are very well known in their respective fields. And today, with our company having 3 women out of 4 seats in the executive committee, and we have about 50%. It's half. No, 50% of our managers are really women. And I would say that some of the challenges that women leaders face, includes difficulty in building a healthy support network, the lack of access to a community of other women-led organizations, and sometimes access to funding. But with gender lens investing, women leaders have been provided with this access, and it helps drive better financial inclusion. In the recent years, I've seen more organizations, active organizations that support and empower women. So it's really nice seeing women supporting women. So yeah, in the middle lower photo, so I was actually given the chance to get featured in investing in women's gender lens investment campaign. So this is Women Tech, the Hidden Alpha story. Okay, moving on. So yeah, our company, including myself, greatly believes in giving back to the community, and from our CSR projects to providing our free products and services, to me personally being involved with organizations and activities that support women. Now, I have been active in supporting initiatives that inspire, empower, and empathize with women essentially, and promote people empowerment. So yeah, I've been part of a couple of women organizations and cohorts. And I also do some mentorships for students and student organizations. So I mentor, I try to inspire them, get into the tech industry, and as well as, empower, empower them. Okay, that's more or less how my journey looks like in the tech industry, and I'm still on it. So it's not yet, we're not yet at the end of the road. Now I want to show a bit of how the global landscape for women in tech looks like. So this is based on Boston Consulting Group's 2020 analysis. So as you can see, the Southeast Asia region is starting from a relatively strong baseline of gender diversity. In fact, the participation of women in technology across Southeast Asia is slightly higher than global averages. In terms of both the number of college graduates and with technology degrees and the overall tech workforce. So notably, the region leads several mature Western markets in female inclusion, including the US and the UK. Women in the region also have a positive perception of the industry's efforts, with approximately 65% agreeing that the tech sector does better than other industries in offering programs specifically tailored to recruit, retrain, and retain and promote women. So that's the global landscape. Moving on to the Southeast Asia landscape. So there are some interregional differences worth noting. So Singapore and Vietnam have the lowest share of women with technology majors in the region, yet both have higher shares of women working in technology. With Singapore, among the highest of the 6 countries that were studied, at 41%. And then we have Philippines and Thailand have the highest share of women technology graduates across Southeast Asia. Thailand also has the highest percentage of women in technology workforce. Yeah. And Indonesia has the lowest share of women in technology companies, in line with the lowest percentage of women in the overall workspace. But yeah, so here in the Philippines, we have one of the highest shares of women technology graduates across Southeast Asia. So we're about 48%. And from the 37% of the total women in the workforce, 35% works in the tech industry. So that's where we are, or that's how our landscape looks like. Now, moving on to how does a woman leader impact the tech industry? So yeah, the tech industry still has its fair share of challenges, but there is a massive opportunity when it comes to gender diversity. Current tech companies that are able to expand the roster of women leaders stand to reap tangible benefits. Firms where 30% of leaders are women have 15% increase in profitability, and net profit margin that is more than 1 percentage point higher compared with similar firms with no female leaders. This is according to research from the Peterson Institute for International Economics. So most, if not all, female tech leaders have had their pivotal breakthrough in their careers, or had their breakthrough role in their careers within their companies, wherein they get a better understanding and visibility of the whole organization. Women bring a lot on the table our strength in motivating teams, it likely stems from our ability to communicate effectively. And for the companies where women account for more than 20% of the management, have approximately 10% higher innovation revenues than companies with male dominated leadership. And as a woman, women-led organization, AYA being a women-led organization, we help encourage and attract more women to join our company. Yeah. The pressure that we have to continuously prove ourselves, including our technical prowess, may never totally go away. It might always still be there. But our capabilities or abilities and our potentials are undeniable. We bring different perspectives, skills, and experiences. We place great importance on interpersonal relationship, or interpersonal skills, like self-awareness, emotional attunement, the need for expression, humility, and authenticity. We are understanding and sensitive towards the importance of holistic well-being for employee development. We've been talking about women leadership roles. It's all about women, but then we go to gender diversity, but we're still promoting women. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that women are better leaders than men. I am not implying that we make this a competition discussion, but instead to just shed light on how a woman's value of being nurturing and transformational should be seen as a strength in leadership, instead of being seen as a weakness. That feminine and masculine traits can go hand in hand. Both men and women should strive to achieve the perfect balance between both sides. A successful leader recognizes, a skill that is lacking and, work towards acquiring it. In my case, as being a woman leader in AYA, it helps that we have a supportive CEO who's male, and it really goes hand in hand. It's better to have a mix of both men and women in leadership roles, because you get both sides. I think you get the best of both worlds in a sense. And to close now, I would like to encourage you ladies to pursue your passion in tech. The times are changing, and women are being more visible in the tech industry, because why not? Let us not be afraid, and let's be unapologetic of what we can do, and in a heavily male dominated industry. The tech industry needs us, needs you, and so let us take our seats at the table, and because we deserve it, and because we can. There. I want to thank you everyone again, and have a nice day and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can we give her a round of applause, please, before we go to the Q&A? Can we spotlight Miss Joyce? Hi, Miss Joyce. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for doing this for us. Can we? Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. We have a question here I'm so proud of you, no? I just want to say that first, yung journey mo, imagine, and even in your AI company, before I ask that question, is that an AI company? It is an AI company,
It is.
right?
It is.
I just want to get more, understand it a little bit more. So from to 100, from 13 to 100, if I'm not mistaken, are those Filipino employees?
Yes, fully
Wow.
fully owned by Filipino, and yeah, we have 100%. No, we have one lang salesperson who is Dutch, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a salesperson. Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
How many of that 100 are in tech, basically?
75% of our people are engineering. So yeah,
Wow.
mix
Yeah,
of
very
R&D
nice.
and engineering. Yes.
And you're located in?
Makati.
In Makati. You're located in Makati. So congratulations. That's the good thing about, this startup, when you do a startup, is that you really give employment to a lot of, and to have a fully, Filipino company. Yeah, it really means a lot. Thank you for putting the Philippines now into the map, and to have a women lead that organization. We're very proud. We're very proud of you. I just want to say that. Thank you for joining us today. So let's now go to the Q&A. So there's a question here, Ma'am Joyce. How do you handle difficult people in your team? People who are more experienced than you and maybe even older than you, in your role as a project manager?
Okay. On my team right now, kasi for how we built the culture of Aya, it's familial. So I value behavior behavior and attitude first before skills. So I handpicked the people inside Aya where they're really fit in the culture. Because once you have a rotten apple inside, it spreads like a disease. So yeah. So if you were referring to my project management role back then, I was really always the youngest. So mahirap. I mean, it's a tricky. It comes with experience, I think, if you get that confidence na, no, I know what I'm doing. Even if, like what I said, no, I didn't have that proper project management training. I just, I was guided by my experience, what works, what doesn't. If you're really comfortable with what you're doing, if you're confident, what other people's experiences are, even if they're more experienced, they're older, it doesn't matter as long as you know that what you're doing is right and it's working, then that's okay.
Yeah, okay. So there's another question. Can you give any advice on how it is to become a Scrum Master?
Basic project management and people handling. Scrum kasi it's more agile. So it's there's a lot of Scrum Master. I think there are free certifications right now. I can send you a link because we have the people in our team. They like to learn a lot, get certifications. Medyo certified addicts sila. So I can share that with you. There are a lot of organizations who gives or who provides SM trainings and whatnot. So, but yeah, people management, project management, those would be my base skills for you to really do Scrum. Okay, so I will share.
Okay, so we have other questions here. Yeah, please send the link down, Miss Joyce. Now, okay. I have a different question, naman. Is there a difference between when you were between a startup basically and a regular company?
Corporate.
What's the difference? Yeah, a corporate. Yeah, a corporate.
Yeah, because for corporate, they're built their processes. They're paano ba? It's more, I don't know if it's the right term. It's more authoritarian kind of management, I think. And I think then there's a lot of politics inside. So in a startup, we are more lean. There's no, the executive team we don't have our own closed office space. Mm-hmm. So anyone can just, reach out to us and whatnot. And I think it's more collaborative kasi really. Just to share, Aya, 2016. 2016, it's where, if you're from Slack, the Slack time, that's where the bots really started. So we were really pivoting that year, and we were brainstorming. So the Aya right now, the Aya, our first Aya bot was really was an idea of the whole team. So it wasn't just from the top down. It was really a collaborative. So I think a startup, at least for us, the startup vibe for us, more collaborative and really open. So we hear everyone's suggestions, and they get to be more. I think people get to be more excited when they get to be heard, and we actually listen. So yeah, I think that's for me. Kasi that's what I from the big corporates and then to a really lean team. So that's the difference for me, really.
Okay, CIP recently, this event is actually co-hosted or supported by the Wildcats Innovations Lab. So we were able to establish this technology incubation facility in CIT through funding by the OST. So the goal is really to produce, startups from the students. And do you have any advice for us? And if ever, can we invite, to be like a part of the board of advisors or something like that?
Wow, of course, that would be an honor for me. Siguro my advice, it's really, kasi we started, well, I actually went in the company. There's already a problem that they were really trying to solve. So just make sure that the problem that you're trying to solve is really a problem. Essentially, it's just like, naisip nyo lang na, ay, parang problema to. But it's not really a big problem that really needs a deeper solution. So I think that's the first step. But like right now, parang we have this tool or suite of solutions that we already have for years. And during the pandemic, ang daming lumalabas na, ay, this certain industry pa pala, we can help them. So parang it's, unless na you really drill down on what else your solution can do, you'll never know eh. Parang you might still be missing a certain industry or certain companies na pwede mo pa pala silang tulungan. So, it takes time, but the first step really is just make sure na you're really solving a problem and that you yourself believe in what you're doing. I think that's the most important.
Yeah, because we're really pushing the idea of technopreneurship, having startups at the university level, but based on our experience and the personal experience, sometimes you have to identify a pain point. That's what we always tell our students, identify a pain point. But because the students' experience is so, it's so limited in general, that you cannot really pull out the pain point, So sometimes it's a struggle, right? But anyway, we're still doing it because you need to plant, the idea that, it's a possibility doing startups, So,
and it helps din po. Ma'am, sorry, it helps din po to anong tawag dito? To do surveys. Kasi it helps in to, like, if you have your target market na, then you send out a survey. If that's really, you can really tell them if, validate your idea, and then from there, iterate whatever you can from that feedback. Feedbacks are always good.
Yeah. So anyway, do we have other? Actually, they're so excited for the link.
I send it na lang. Sorry naman po. Wait lang, halapin ko pa.
They're so excited for the link. They're waiting na ba? It's so funny. It's so funny that they're so excited. Sige, maybe you can look at it. But ako personally, I'm really very proud that we have this Filipino AI company. Can you just imagine that? Are you still hiring? What kind of skills do you need from your, future hires if you're still hiring? Because we have a lot of students here also listening.
Yeah. So we're actually looking for interns right now. So if you want to do internships, we have slots for machine learning engineers.
Wow.
So we have our R&D and front end devs. Please,
Yeah, that
if
that
if
can work.
you're a
That can work for
front-end dev.
BSI. That can work. No, that can work. That's also good. Do you accept virtual OJT, right?
Yeah,
Even if
and
they are in
of
Cebu?
course QAs.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
we're 100% work from home right now.
Okay.
So we have,
That's good.
I think we have, yeah.
Oh, wait. I think we have a question outside of the ones waiting for the link. Okay, is there, ito pala yan, no? Is there politics in your organization right now? Maybe in the
No.
previous one, right? In the previous one.
Yeah. Right
Okay.
now, no politics.
So how long did it take you to develop your chatbots?
Yeah. Our first chatbot, it took 2 months for our first version. Because, we're really agile. So we, and being in an agile team, helps deliver and then feedback. So it's not like a total, like a waterfall level na kailangan i-deliver mo muna lahat before you get the feedback. So no, parang whatever's done, you deliver. As long as it's an MVP na it's working naman. And ayun. So it took us 2 months, I think, for the first.
So there's a question about the skill sets. I think it's related to what I'm saying. And I think those are aside from the soft skills, and what are the technical skill sets?
Yeah. So we have our team is mostly like Python. We have Python and Java. So yeah. And yeah, so those two are most used, no, Python and Java. And HTML5 for content.
Yeah, I think you will be flooded with requests na uunahan ko na kayo kasi I know her email address. It's a joke. I'm just joking. But anyway, we're really so happy to have you with us. I would like to thank Ma'am Juliana Salido for,
Yeah, thanks, Ma'am Julian.
It's Ma'am Julian.
She was actually my inspiration. Sorry, she was my professor in data structure and algo first year in college, and then
wow.
she was our dean then, so she was one of my inspirations. So I really wanted to pursue tech. Thank you.
Wow, is Miss Julian here?
Happy Teachers Day.
It's not here, Anyway, so she's a very proud teacher, obviously, She's also a very proud teacher, and we're very proud of you. I cannot say that more than enough. I'm really excited to have Filipino companies, and this one being led by a woman is really something. So thank you very much. I know you're very busy. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Can we give Ma'am Joyce a virtual round of applause, please? Thank you
Cherry,
very much.
we have a question from Sir. Yes,
one.
ma'am.
We're in the Q&A.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wait, another one pala. Sorry. Wait, Wait, I cannot see the basic block of the culture in Aya, right?
Aya. I think it starts with the leadership. I mean, I think for me personally, since I came from the rank and file, and then I always put myself in the shoes of our people. So what will benefit them, what will not. We always think of our people first, because our people will take care of our clients, and then that's our answer on having revenues. So yeah. And being open and transparent to the team, for them, give them the give them the choice to whether to work or not, to believe, if they believe in what you're doing or not. So parang you don't push or you don't spoon feed them, you have to do this because we have to, but you want them to work on something that they actually believe in. So that's really how our culture works. There, it really starts with leadership. So parang kung ano yung values that you have, it just really spreads. So there, I think it starts with you if you're the leader of your company.
Okay, so no more. Do we have other questions there? I don't really see it. You look like Maha Salvador, so we have our artista in our midst now. They remind you of Maha Salvador.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very
Alright.
pretty